you gonna go down now? Now let me ask you a question. You guys, I see you guys pyramid up and then you pyramid down. What's the theory behind that, Jeff?
Basically, first set's warm up. Second, third, and fourth sets, go heavy as you can, and then drop it back down to get much as blood as you can inside the arms with a drop set.
Wouldn't you think that the blood would be there already from all the heavy stuff?
Well, yeah, but it's a different exercise. It's a different part of the tricep.
No, I'm saying you're doing a heavy close benching here, right? And we're getting a lot of blood pumped in there. Why would you? What's your theory at least on dropping? Or what's John's theory on dropping down here? Maybe we should get John over here.
Yeah, maybe.
John, you want to come over here a second? These guys I'm stumping these guys. They're starting to get nervous. What's the theory on dropping down the last set?
You've got a loss of power. And you have a loss of power. You're trying to control the weight now. So you're dropping it down so you continue to control the weight, keep the strict form going.
So you're just trying to have them just really concentrate on the muscle now without the cheating. Is that correct? Okay, John's waving yes. Okay, that's what we want to hear. This is a training technique video, so we gotta bring these points out because a lot of people watching don't understand. And there's another school of thought, which is like the high intensity training school of thought, where once you stimulate the body, the muscle maximally with the maximum weights, you move on to the next exercise. So there's different philosophies, and just like I always say with diet, there's different ways to skin a cat. Every way works if you apply it properly with logic and science. All right, so now we drop it down here. We're going to go a little lighter. Are you focusing on anything different here, Chris, at this time, or are you just trying to push out these last few reps?
This is just concentrating on form. It's just pumping the last little bit of blood I can into the muscle. Just going with 225, nothing much, taking a nice, slow, steady pace. I think I finished this one for about 10 or 12 reps. Just, not training until failure, but just enough till I felt comfortable that I, fully pumped my tris doing those.
Now, it's important to remember, this is a great exercise for triceps, but it actually also works the inner upper pecs really well too. And a lot of guys have that deficit or that space in between their middle pecs. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but when I started doing these exercises, especially way back when, my chest really filled in a lot. Have you noticed that, Jeff?
Yeah, I noticed that when I do anything close grip with my triceps and my inner chest, and upper chest pumps up.
So a lot of people don't realize is that all these exercises we do, all these, we training back one day, it's not just back, there's some biceps involved, there's foremans involved, there's overlap with everything, and that's another reason why it's a good idea not to train each body part more than once a week, because you're really doing it anyway, indirectly, through all the other exercises you're doing. Chris, where are we going now?
I think we were heading over to do some straight bar pushdowns. Usually we'll start off with a power movement, either do a close grip bench or maybe do some skull crushers, do some decline skull crushers, and then from there we'll move on to more of a concentrated movement, either doing push downs, doing rope push downs. That's usually the second thing we hit after our main power movement.
Now, how do you guys feel about unilateral movements as opposed to single, as opposed to bilateral movements as opposed to unilateral movements? In other words, do one arm at a time as opposed to doing two arms at the same time. So I see you guys are doing everything pretty much the same with one arm, aside from the preacher curls you started with. How do you feel about, does John ever have you break up doing push downs with both hands, doing push downs with one hand?
Yeah, we do switch it up. Usually we move on to more unilateral movements as our towards the end of the workout. We start with the power movements, and then towards the end, I think after this exercise, we went on to one arm behind the head, or sometimes we might do just one arm push downs with a D-bar.
All right, Jeff. I'm going to quiz you again. I like busting your chops a little bit. What do you think is the benefit of moving to these unilateral movements? Later toward the end of the workout.
Because you're not putting a lot of stress on the muscle. Basically, you're just doing lighter weight and just get more pump to the muscle.
Also, let's not forget your bodybuilders, right? We want good symmetry. We want balance on both sides. So when you're doing these, these high intensity, compound movements, a lot of times one side that's strong will work more than the other. So it's a good idea, and there's some good logic in what John's having you do by adding these unilateral movements at the end. Obviously, it's going to help balance off. That's why one arm is not bigger than the other on you, right?
Yeah.
Good answer. Now, Chris, when you do these push downs, do you guys like to take a wide stance like this? Sorry, wide stance, a wide grip like this, or do you vary the grip size, vary the handles?
We mix it up. This time we went with a little bit wider. Sometimes we might go with a triangle bar and take a nice close grip. Personally, I like it depends on which head you're trying to hit. In this case, we're taking a wider grip to hit more of an inside head, and that was just today's grip.
So, from what I'm gathering, is you guys the workout's constantly changing, and that's, I assume, to shock the body so that your body doesn't stagnate and it keeps growing. Correct, Jeff?
Yeah, pretty much week to week our workouts change. Reps, sets, weight. From week to week they change.
What about when you guys are in pre-contest type of schedule? Is the workout varying that much, or does it tend to be a little more regular?
No, it still varies every week. Less time between sets, more reps during sets, and less weight.
You guys still continue to do the heavy compound movements when you're in diet phase?
Yeah, all the way up to the last, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks out.
And then what happens?
And then we drop the weight and just do a lot of drop sets, a lot of burnout sets, and basically get the muscle hard as we can.
Here's a question, Chris. What do you like better, off-season training or pre-contest?
To be honest, I'm usually good for about the first weeks of dieting, and then I tend to get a little miserable. I practice cutting weight. I wrestled for 12 years, so I'm used to depriving yourself of food, and our off-season diet isn't a whole lot different than our pre-contest diet, with the exceptions of a couple foods and obviously the quantities. But I do like being able to go out to dinner after a workout rather than having to heat up some cod in a Tupperware dish.
I could definitely empathize with you there. But there is definitely a trend, I think, in bodybuilders today, as opposed to maybe back in the late 90s or late 80s, early 90s, where bodybuilders bulked up and they got real fat in the off season. Now, guys are staying much leaner, closer to contest shape. Jeff, do you think that that's making it easier to get in shape for the shows? I mean, what's your thinking on that?
Yeah, I think staying leaner in the off season is better when you get ready for the show because you don't have to diet as hard.
What do you think as far as putting size? Do you think it's limiting your size by not eating as much food or as many calories as they did in the past?
Well, no, we're still eating, a lot of calories, a lot of carbohydrates, proteins, or whatever, and just cleaner.
A lot of guys, the old timers would say, well, if you don't eat, junky food and you don't put on a lot of weight, your body's going to get stagnant because you're eating the same foods that you're dieting with. What do you think about that, Chris?
No, I don't think so. I think if you're getting the same basic nutrients, your basic proteins, your basic carbs, pretty much whenever you're on stage, everything that's not muscle's got to come off anyway. So if you're just putting on fat, it's just a little something extra that you got to lose and a little extra dieting you got to do, and a little more cardio once you start dieting.
I agree, and I think also something that we should definitely bring to light is the fact that nowadays we know a lot more about nutrition. We know about essential fatty acids. We know about the essential protein requirements. We know about good carbohydrates as opposed to bad carbohydrates. We know about trans fats versus omega-3 fats, and this technology, or I should say scientific, information that we live, the information age that we live in now, enables us to still grow without getting fat, and I think that's important because not only that, not only are you going to build better muscle and you're going to make your dieting a lot easier, but you're also going to keep yourself a lot healthier.